Have you ever just stopped and noticed how fundamentally our lives have shifted lately? I mean, from the food we eat to how we get around, even how we manage our health, it feels like everything's undergoing this massive transformation. And kind of quietly, behind all these really astonishing changes, there's this huge, often invisible force at work. So today, our mission is to really dive deep into this incredible phenomenon. We're going to unpack exactly how it works, and reveal its surprising, sometimes hidden impact across pretty much every aspect of our lives. We'll be drawing deep insights from our source material, big data, big insights to help guide us through this.
It's true, and what we're seeing isn't just some fleeting trend. No, this is a really fundamental shift in how we understand the world, how we interact with it,
Yeah.
and it's all powered by this ever-growing ocean of information. It's quite something.
Okay, so let's unpack this phrase then, big data. When people talk about it, what exactly is that? It sounds big, obviously, but can you give us a more tangible sense of what it really means?
Yeah, it's fascinating, actually, how deeply integrated it is into just our daily lives now. Think about pretty much every online activity you do, liking a post, sharing something on WhatsApp or wherever, visiting a website, buying something online, even just watching a video. All of it gets recorded, it's monitored, and it's analyzed. And this continuous digital activity, it generates just an immense, truly staggering amount of data.
Right. And when you say immense, we're not exaggerating the scale here, are we? Can you help our listener maybe grasp just how enormous this data can actually be? What kind of volumes are we looking at?
We're really moving beyond the familiar terms like gigabytes or terabytes now. We're into realms like petabytes, even exabytes. To give you a sense, an exabyte, that's roughly 1 billion gigabytes. It's hard to even picture. So we're talking billions, maybe even trillions of individual records collected from millions and millions of people and sourced from incredibly diverse places. The web itself, sales transactions, customer service calls, social media feeds, data from your mobile phone, countless sensors out there. It's just an unprecedented scale.
Wow. So beyond just the sheer amount, the volume, what are the other key characteristics that define this tidal wave of information?
That's a great question. It brings us to what people often call the 5 V's of big data. Though, frankly, it's the implications of these V's that really matter. So first you have volume, like we just discussed, the sheer scale of it all. Then there's variety. This means the data comes in all sorts of formats, structured things like spreadsheets, but also unstructured stuff, text, images, videos, audio. Velocity is next. That refers to the incredible speed at which this data is generated and, crucially, needs to be processed. Think real-time traffic updates or stock market transactions happening in milliseconds. But for me, the most compelling V's, maybe, are veracity and value.
Okay, tell me about those, veracity and value.
Right, so veracity deals with the quality and accuracy of the data.
Yeah.
I mean, with so much data flying around, not all of it's going to be perfect or reliable. Understanding how trustworthy the data is, that's absolutely critical. You don't want to base huge decisions on bad data.
Makes sense.
And then finally, value. This is really the key part. Because while big data is, relatively speaking, easy to get, its sheer size and complexity challenge our traditional ways of computing. And that's precisely why big data analytics is so important, so transformative. It's this complex process of sifting through all that raw information to find insights that were just hidden before, stuff you couldn't possibly see otherwise. We're talking about uncovering, unknown connections between things, subtle market trends, deeply buried customer preferences. It's like finding the needle in the haystack, except it's more like finding patterns across 1 million haystacks simultaneously.
Okay, so the real takeaway here isn't just, wow, there's a lot of data. It's more about what organizations, and really what all of us, do with that data. That's what truly matters, right?
Precisely. It's about turning those raw numbers, that raw information, into actionable insights, into something useful.
This is where it gets really interesting, I think. Let's talk about some of the fascinating real-world applications, the ways big data impacts your life, often without you even realizing it. I want to dive into a few examples that really show its power. Let's start with something maybe most of us use every day: location tracking. How do we get those real-time traffic updates on our phones? Or how do huge logistics companies manage their global supply chains so effectively?
Yeah, that's a perfect example of big data working behind the scenes. Your phone's GPS, or even tiny little things called RFID sensors, radio frequency identification sensors. They're constantly sending back data about traffic density, where congestion is building up, route closures, one-way streets, even identifying accident-prone areas based on historical data. And all that lets your navigation app, like Google Maps or Waze, reroute you instantly. It saves you time. Now, for logistics companies, it's even more complex. This data allows them to track goods not just where they are, but sometimes even their condition-like temperature for sensitive cargo. They can anticipate bottlenecks in the supply chain, optimize routes on the fly, and significantly cut down on delivery times and reduce risks like spoilage or damage. So it's not just knowing where something is, but predicting when it will arrive safely and reliably.
That's incredible insight just from tracking movement. Okay, let's shift gears. How about something that touches all of us? Health. Our smartwatches, fitness trackers, health apps. They seem to be doing a lot more than just telling time or counting steps these days. How is big data changing healthcare?
Oh, absolutely. They really are becoming like mini biomedical research devices right there on your wrist or in your pocket. They collect this constant stream of data, heart rate, sleep patterns, how much you exercise, distance walked, and so on. Analyzing this data can give you personalized feedback, which is great. But even more profoundly, it contributes to this massive, anonymized pool of population health data that researchers can study.
Right, the collective picture.
Exactly. And beyond personal devices, think about home gadgets that now monitor blood sugar or blood pressure, sending data to your doctor, or the 20 to 47 patient monitoring systems in hospitals. All this data helps doctors refine diagnoses, understand how well drugs are working, or spot side effects much faster and across more people. It helps reduce the guesswork in medicine. It also helps maintain patient records more efficiently and allows for much better sort of overall health analysis for individuals and populations.
I heard it can even help track outbreaks.
Yes, that's a particularly powerful application. Think about social media. When people post things like, ugh, I think I'm coming down with the flu.
Yeah.
Well, if you aggregate thousands of those kinds of posts, anonymize them, of course, and combine them with other data like pharmacy sales for cold medicine or school absence rates, public health officials can actually start to pinpoint potential epidemic outbreaks, sometimes even before people start showing up at the doctor's office in large numbers.
Wow, that's amazing.
It allows for a quicker deployment of resources, warnings, precautions. It's a kind of proactive, population-level health surveillance system that simply wasn't possible before big data analytics. And of course, the pharmaceutical industry is very interested in all this health data for their research, too.
That's a huge shift from being reactive to proactive. Okay, let's talk money. Finance. How does big data keep our finances safe and keep the markets, moving smoothly, especially in our super digital world?
Right. Finance is an area where big data often acts as a kind of silent guardian. Banks and financial institutions, they use big data analytics constantly. They study investment patterns, market movements, customer behavior that helps them create suitable financial products and just ensure their operations run smoothly day to day.
Okay, so planning and operations. But what about security?
That's where it's really critical. It's a frontline defense against financial crime. By analyzing just vast amounts of transaction data, looking for anomalies, unusual patterns, big data systems can predict and prevent cybercrimes. They can detect credit card fraud almost instantly.
Yeah.
When you get that text asking if you just made a purchase somewhere unusual.
Yeah, that's happened.
That's big data analytics spotting something odd. These systems can even archive audit trails meticulously, which is crucial for regulation. And they're getting sophisticated enough to even predict future brute force attacks, those automated attempts to guess passwords, by identifying patterns in previous failed attempts.
That's clever.
It also handles things like missed transactions or failures in online banking, predicting potential server spikes to make sure the systems can handle the load during peak times. And regulatory bodies, like the SEC in the US, they use network analytics and natural language processors, basically AI that understands text to monitor financial markets. They're sifting through mountains of data, news feeds, social media chatter, looking for signs of illegal trading or suspicious activities.
And what about the actual trading itself? I've heard about high-frequency trading.
Ah, yes, HFT. That's where algorithms make buy and sell decisions in tiny fractions of a second. And those algorithms are fueled by big data. They're not just looking at stock prices. They're analyzing news feeds, social media sentiment, economic indicators, everything in real time to make those split-second calls. It's a field completely revolutionized by the sheer speed, the velocity, and the volume of big data.
That real-time analysis definitely highlights the velocity aspect you mentioned earlier.
Sure.
Okay, let's switch gears again. Something a bit lighter, maybe, but definitely data-driven, advertising and entertainment. Why do you see that specific ad online? Or how does Netflix or YouTube always seem to know exactly what show you might want to watch next?
Yes. It's definitely not an accident. It's all big data applied very expertly. The big internet giants, Facebook, Google, Twitter, platforms like that, they track user behavior and transactions constantly. Anonymized, aggregated, but
Yeah.
still incredibly detailed.
Right.
This gives advertisers an unprecedented treasure trove of data for creating highly targeted campaigns. They can aim ads based on your likely buying intent, websites you've visited recently, your stated interests, maybe your job role, your demographics. The list goes on.
So that's why if I search for, say, hiking boots.
Exactly. You'll likely start seeing ads for hiking boots, outdoor gear, maybe even travel destinations known for hiking. Facebook's algorithms analyze massive data sets to personalize your newsfeed and the ads you see. Google does something similar, tailoring ad campaigns based on what the advertiser wants to achieve, clicks, leads, sales, by targeting the audiences most likely to respond.
And entertainment platforms, Netflix, YouTube.
Oh, they are masters of this.
Hmm.
Their recommendation engines are pure big data magic. They analyze everything. What you've watched before, how long you watched it, did you pause, did you rewind, what did you skip, even what time of day you typically watch.
Oh.
They combine your individual data with patterns from millions of other users to predict, with surprising accuracy, what content you'll enjoy next. And this isn't just about making things convenient for you, although it does. It's crucial for them. It drives engagement, keeps you on the platform longer, which means more revenue.
So it benefits them and arguably us too by filtering content.
Exactly. And it's not just streaming. Even traditional TV broadcasters are catching on. They're starting to segment their viewer databases to show more customized ads during commercial breaks or even promote specific shows to specific audience segments. It moves away from that old one-size-fits-all broadcast model towards a more engaging, tailored experience for you as the viewer, and potentially better ad revenue for them.
Okay, one more area I want to touch on because it seems really promising. Education. How is big data changing the classroom and how people learn?
Yeah, education is another sector that's really being transformed, or at least has the potential to be. Big data has, well, inundated education with information about students, about their study patterns, how they interact with learning materials.
So what can be done with that?
It allows for the creation of much more customized and dynamic learning programs. Programs tailored to an individual student's pace, their level of comprehension, their specific needs and requirements. Think about online learning platforms. They can track which concepts a student struggles with, where they excel, how long they spend on certain types of problems.
Right.
This data helps educators and the platforms themselves understand student choices, identify difficulties early on, track progress on specific courses, and see overall academic results in a much more granular way. You can gauge progress much more effectively, identify both strengths and weaknesses, and potentially even guide students towards career paths that might align better with their abilities and how their mind works.
That could help avoid that one-size-fits-all problem we sometimes see in education.
Precisely. That's the big promise here. Improving the operational effectiveness for schools and universities? Sure. But more importantly, really enhancing student progress and outcomes by personalizing the learning journey.
It's clear the reach of big data is just vast. We've talked about location, health, finance, ads, entertainment, education, and that's not even touching on things like scientific research or understanding geographical phenomena like weather patterns, or even how government machinery works more smoothly behind the scenes. It really has become like this incredibly powerful tool, almost like a genie in our hands.
It really has. And, that brings us to a pretty important consideration for you, for everyone listening, as we navigate this world. What does it actually mean that so much of your online interaction, your digital footprint, is recorded and analyzed? How can you personally make the most of this powerful new reality?
For your own benefit, yes, but also maybe thinking about the broader good and what responsibilities come with having access to and using such pervasive data collection and analysis tools. Just understanding how this data is generated, how it's used, maybe even how it could be misused. That's really key to thriving in this increasingly data-driven world. It's about understanding the future you're already a part of. Something to think about. Indeed. Some important questions to ponder. We definitely encourage you to continue your own deep dive into the world around you, especially now maybe, with a new lens on the pervasive force of big data.